Okay, hi everyone. Today we are looking at a question like this. Now, as you can see over here, it says to find the remainder when the 2008 number in the above pattern is divided by 5. Okay, so first thing first, of course, we have to find the number for 2008 before we can actually divide it by 5, and then from there we can find the remainder, isn't it? Now, over here you can see, right, what I like to do whenever it is pattern, right, is that we need to make sure we know the bunny hops. Okay, so from 1 to 2, right, is basically +1. From 2 to 4 is +2. From 4 to 3 is +3, so on and so forth, right? Now, from here itself, right, what I can do is I can say that for pattern number 1, okay, for pattern number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, for pattern number 1, it is basically 1. For pattern number 2 is 1 plus 2, which is equals to 1 plus 1, which is equals to 2. For pattern number 3 is 1 plus 1 plus 2, which is equals to 4. Pattern number 4, 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is equals to 7. Pattern number 5, 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, which is equals to 11. Pattern number 6 is basically 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, which is equals to 16. Now, from here itself, right, what you can see is that the first digit is always 1. Okay, and the subsequent digits, okay, the other digits that that follows after, they are basically what we call consecutive numbers. Okay, so whenever it is consecutive numbers, you can pair them up. Right? So what I can see from here, right, is that for this even number, it's a little difficult for you to pair, right, because you don't have enough. Then let's start with the odd number, or in fact the odd pattern. Let's talk about odd pattern 5. Okay, odd pattern number 5. So I'm just looking at this. So I want you to cast your eyes on pattern number 5. When you look at pattern number 5, you realize that the total which is over here, all right, the total which is over here is basically 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, right? So we can see, or we can pair them up like that, all right? So that means to say one pair is actually equals to 1 plus 4, and that gives me 5. So total, I have 2 pairs. So therefore, it is basically 5 times 2, that gives me 10. And not forgetting the first number that I need to add. So 10 plus 1, therefore, that is 11. And this is the total for pattern number 5. Okay, now, the question wants us to find pattern number 208. I say that again, pattern number 208. Okay, so for pattern number 208, you realize that pattern 2008 is an even number, right? And when it comes to even number, it's very difficult for me to pair them up, right? So what I like to do is instead, I want to find pattern number 2007, because 2007 is an odd number. And I'm very certain that 2007 starts with 1 as well. 2008 also starts with 1. Okay, but whatever that is over here will be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, and it goes all the way, okay, to the last digit. What is the last digit? As you can see over here, the last digit, okay, so I just want to always use something that is smaller, or something that is easier for me to understand, and then use that to solve something that is more difficult, right? If I may just get you to look at pattern number 5, for pattern number 5, you can see that the last digit is always 1 less than the pattern number. So therefore, the last digit has to be 2006. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pair them up, all right? So I'm going to pair them up for pattern number 2007, all right? So over here, I can say that one pair, you can see that one pair, okay, one pair for 2007. So maybe I can write over here pattern 2007. Okay, one pair is basically how much? 1 plus 2006, which is equals to 2007. Okay. For the second pair, it will be 2 plus 2005, which is also 2007. Okay, so how many pairs are there in total? Now, you want to find the total number of pairs, okay, so that later words you can actually add them, multiply, and then you will be able to get to the total, right? Now, so let's take a look at this. You realize that for pattern number 5, okay, for pattern number 5, right, how many pairs are there in total? 1, 2. Then let's take a look at maybe, say, pattern number 7. 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6, which is equals to 22. How many pairs are there in total? 1, 2, 3. Now, what does that mean? The number of pairs will always be like that, okay? So how do I find the number of pairs for pattern number 5? I will do 5 minus 1 divided by 2, which is equals to 4 over 2, which is equals to 2 pairs. All right, in order for me to find the number of pairs, we can use these to help us. Well, what about pattern number 7? It will be 7 minus 1 divided by 2, right? 6 over 2, which is equals to 3 pairs. Well, with that in mind, you want to use this same thing to find the number of pairs in pattern number 2007. So you do 2007 minus 1 over 2. You get 2006 over 2. When you do that, you get 1003. So there are 1003 pairs. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly note down 1003 pairs. In order for me to find the total, will be 2007 times 1003. So 2007 times 1003, we get to an answer of 2013021. Okay, so that is the total. That is the total. That is the total. But you have to remember that there is actually a 1 over here. So we have to say that the total for this will then be 2013022. Okay? Now, but the question is not asking us to find pattern number 2007. The question is asking us to find pattern 2008. So pattern 2008, what is the total for pattern 2008? Same thing, we use something simple, okay? I just want you to keep looking at pattern 5 and 6. I want you to keep looking at pattern 5 and 6. You see, if pattern 5 is my pattern 2007, and when pattern 5 is 11, pattern 6 is 16. What is the difference? The difference is basically just plus 5. So pattern 2008 will then be 2013022 plus 2007. When I do 2013022 plus 2007, we get to an answer of 2015029. Okay, so this is the total for pattern 2008. Now the question is asking us for the remainder. The keyword is the remainder. So let's go to this number, which is 2010, okay, 2015029. We want the remainder when it is divided by 5. So let's divide by 5. Okay, you can see over here, I put 5 over here, right? So let me just zoom in a bit. Okay, 5 times what gives me 20? We can say 4, all right? So we minus, okay, we put 0, bring down the 1. That is nothing, guys. A lot of you like to look at 15, but no, you have to look at 1 first, and then put a 0 over there, put a 0 again, bring down the 5, you put a 3 over here, you get to 15, 0, bring down the 0, there's nothing, put a 0 again, bring down the 2, right, there's nothing again, put a 0, minus 0, make it 2, bring down the 9, 5 times what gives me 29, brings, get to something that is the closest, of course, we say 5, right, 5, 5, 25, okay, so when you do 25 and therefore you get to a remainder 4, so you can just put R4 over here. Now the question says find the remainder, so therefore your answer has to be option number 4.